Well, the United States has vetoed ceasefire resolutions multiple times during the course of the last 7 months, and only weakly abstained from vetoing the ceasefire in Ramadan because of the relentless global pressure and outrage over the genocide. And even then, they tried to pretend that that ceasefire resolution was not binding, even though it was obviously binding. And then they vetoed a resolution last month for admitting Palestine as a full member of the United Nations last month. And they're likely to veto it again today, even though we all know and we all expect that the General Assembly will vote to affirm the global consensus that Palestinians deserve not only full membership at the United Nations, but full recognition as a state, full recognition of statehood. The United States has denied the humanity and the fundamental human rights of the Palestinians decade after decade, and they have instead bestowed upon Israel the right to steal, the right to occupy their land, the right to steal their property, the right to abuse, and the right to torture, and the right to murder, and their right to commit wholesale genocide. The United States is using the United Nations as nothing more than an instrument for enforcing savage colonization in Palestine, as a tool for racist, dehumanizing, violent invalidation of the indigenous people of Palestine. Now, we initiated the Article 6 campaign to expel the U.S. from the United Nations because the U.S. veto was being persistently used to enable the genocide in Gaza. But now it's even more pertinent because America is making it even more clear, if anyone had any ambiguity about it, they're making it even more clear how they feel about the Palestinians. They're making it as clear as day that they do not even regard the Palestinians as full human beings with the same rights that are guaranteed to human beings by the United Nations Charter and by the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. They're saying that not only do the Palestinians not have the right to life and safety, but they don't even have the right to exist. They don't even have the right to be acknowledged as a nation. And they're doing this in defiance of the whole world. The U.S., because of their position at the United Nations, and particularly on the UN Security Council, they have appointed themselves as no less than the Lord of the earth, who exclusively gets to decide and has the final determination as to which people are allowed to live on this planet and who are not, who deserve to be acknowledged as a nation and who do not, and who are allowed to even exist and who are not allowed to exist. And it doesn't matter what anyone else on the planet thinks. The U.S. is a country that was founded on genocide, founded on the dehumanization and the murder of the indigenous people. And they've never evolved or civilized ever since then for them to understand that it was immoral and that it was wrong, that it was evil, because they're fully backing another brutal colonization, pillaging, murderous, genocidal campaign today in Palestine. So they've never changed. They think Israel is legitimate because Israel is doing the same thing that they did, acting the same way that they did. And they've convinced themselves that what they did was justified and virtuous. In other words, this is a country that literally believes in the virtue of genocide. They believe in the morality of murder. Well, that's not what the UN Charter says. That's not what the contract says. That's not what the Universal Declaration of Human Rights says. That's not what international law says. So I'm asking, why on earth should the United States be a member of the United Nations when their beliefs and the beliefs reflected in the UN Charter are so diametrically opposed? No, it's time to invoke Article 6 against the U.S. and expel them from the United Nations. And by doing that, the UN can come out from under the yoke of American domination. By invoking Article 6, you can take that gag out of the mouths of the world that's shutting out the voice of the rest of the countries on the planet. America doesn't get to press the mute button anymore to silence the voices of the whole world. We need to get them out of there so that we can get out from under them.